Let us say hello to Xavier Thames. San Diego State last night, 60-55. We spent the better part of the first half hour of the show talking about it. And let's welcome Xavier into the program. Xavier, good to talk to you. Darren Smith, thank you very much for a few minutes.
How you doing? How you doing, guys?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing today?
I'm good, doing good.
What do you got scheduled this afternoon?
Nothing. I'm about to go get some lunch with my dad right now. Just chilling out for the rest of the day.
You know, you guys won a game not too long ago, and you came on the radio show, and afterwards somebody from your athletic department told me that you took a break from shooting to do the interview, and then you went right back to shooting. I mean, how much time are you spending in the gym shooting the ball?
Yeah, I'm trying to spend as much time in the gym, shooting the ball. Just got to keep at it, keep working at it. That's what I try to do each and every day.
Well, geez, gosh, things were clicking last night. I mean, maybe not for you specifically, but 60-55. I mean, is there 60-45? I should say. Is there any way to predict on a game in, game out basis, how good you guys are going to be defensively like that?
I think so. We just got to keep at it, keep our defense at it. I think the last 5 games before that, our defense was terrible. Teams were shooting 50% or so. The last 2 games we kind of got back to what we usually do. I think Air Force shot 37% in the game. I think yesterday they shot about 36%. They had 45 points. So, we've got to keep our defense, strong going into New Mexico against a great team. So I think that's what we got to do.
Well, give us an idea, Xavier. I mean, where are you guys learning your defense from? I mean, who should we be giving a lot of credit to for the way you guys play defense?
Our whole coaching staff, and they've been doing a great job. And then also with Coach Hudson being back, he runs our whole defense. So, you got to give him a lot of the credit. But it's our whole coaching staff, not just Coach Hudson. Even though he runs the whole defense. I think that's one of the main reasons why we've been good. And I think we've been good as well. You got to give some credit to us. We've been locked in and focused for the most part of the year.
Well, I think you guys ultimately get the majority of credit because you're the ones that are out there and you guys are the ones that are doing it.
Exactly.
And you could see it, during the game. But you brought up Justin Hudson, who was not on the coaching staff a year ago. When you say that he coaches the defense, we operate in a football world, and people think about offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. When you say he runs your defense, what do you mean? Can you let us in on that?
Usually, he just gives us the game plans, him or Dutch or Dave, and then we go into the game, with a game plan for a different team. He's been working with us since the springtime on defense. Usually in springtime, we work on offensive things. But he's just been with us, since the springtime, like I said, working on defense and other different things.
So if you could, could you give us an example? Like, what was the game plan last night against Utah State defensively?
The game plan, the first time we played them, he gave us the game plan. We were switching a lot of stuff. We switched almost everything, pick and rolls, down screens, and things like that. And then whereas last night, we were blacking, as the NBA call it. They call it downing, forcing the ball towards the sideline, and have help on the midline and over on the ball. So those are things that we did last night against Utah State, whereas the previous game we did something totally different.
When you're playing in conference play and you're facing a team for the second time, is it usually stick with what worked from the first game, or do you have to mix it up because you figure they're going to make adjustments?
You got to mix it up. You got to mix it up. Also playing the team the second time, they're going to have, something up their sleeve. And also the big kid, Davis, didn't play the last time we played him at Utah State. So that was a difference from the game, from the previous game to last night.
Yeah, he, by the way, is every bit as big as advertised, isn't he? I was sitting there on press row. He is huge, and he even looks bigger than some of your bigs.
Yeah, he really does. He really does. He was big.
And had a good game as well. We're talking to Xavier Thames at San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. Matt Shrigley had his best game, I think, maybe as an Aztec. I don't know if you would feel differently, but 5 of 9 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3-point range. Where did that come from? Where does that come from in a game where, the last few for him haven't, been great, but then he outscores himself for like the last 6 or 7 games in one night?
Well, Matt's been in the gym each and every day, before practice and after practice, working on his game, working on his shot. We just try to tell him to stay confident. The coaching staff tell him to stay confident and, just keep shooting because he has some great looks, early on in the part of the year, early on the conference this year. they just weren't falling. But he stuck with it. He stayed patient. And, I'm glad he had a breakout game last night.
Could you sense it coming? Could you?
Yeah.
You could?
Yeah, most definitely. Because when you work at things, you put in the effort. More than likely it's going to show, and that's what he's been doing.
When you have a teammate who's hot like that, whether it's Shrigley or anybody else on the team, by definition, and we're talking to Xavier Thames, you're the guy who's distributing the basketball. When you have a player who is feeling it, he's got a smooth stroke, maybe he warmed up really well, he's been working hard in practice, like you said. How much of an effort is there to feed that guy, to get the guy the ball if he's hot?
It's a lot of effort. You want to keep feeding him. He's hot. At that time and moment. That's what I was trying to do last night. Getting him the most shots I could because he was so hot last night. So it's just a great feeling, seeing a player like that.
23-2 so far on the season. A lot of us have been talking about the game that you have coming up this Saturday. That would be the showdown with New Mexico. How did you, as a team leader here, keep everybody focused on Air Force over the weekend and then Utah State last night? Did you get a sense that anybody was starting to look ahead to New Mexico?
Not at all. Not at all. We were not looking forward to New Mexico. We say we want to take each game at a time, and then, that's what we did the previous two games. And, you just try to stay with it. I think that's what we did. But we got to get ready, on Saturday for a good New Mexico team.
Well, now you get to look ahead. So where will you be tonight when New Mexico's playing against UNLV?
I'll be at home. Watching it. Watching great showdown tonight. So.
And rooting for UNLV, I take it?
I really don't care who wins. They're both rivalry games, so I can care less who wins.
Well, I mean, come on, just for the standings here. I mean, you obviously want the separation in the standings, don't you?
You do, but I really don't care, honestly, guys. I just want to see a great game. Two good teams going at it. Whoever wins, they win.
What's it like playing at the Pit?
It's fun, especially with Snake there. You come off the bus, he's right there yelling at you. So it's definitely fun playing at the Pit. It's loud there. I'm sure it's going to be fun there on Saturday.
Who is yelling at you?
It's a guy they call Snake.
Snake?
He's the biggest Lobo fan out there. As soon as we get off the bus to the game, he's there yelling at you, and doing things like that.
What does he say?
The last year or the previous year when I went, he was just yelling at me, "You're no DJ Gay. You're no DJ Gay. You're no DJ Gay." He just kept on yelling at me like that. He's a cool guy though. It's no hard feelings with him. It was funny.
And when DJ Gay was playing, he was probably yelling, "You're no Brandon Heath. You're no Brandon Heath."
Probably.
Oh man. That is funny. Are you guys still carrying around the chip on your shoulder by the way you were picked in the Mountain West Conference preseason standings here? I mean, is that kind of is that a theme inside of your locker room here that people still pick this team ahead of you that you're facing, that you're going to see on Saturday, but you were picked fourth in the Mountain West?
No, it's not. We don't look at it like that. We just want to go out, each and every game and focus and, get better from each and every game. But it's definitely not a theme, in our locker room that they picked us for. That's for the media to decide that, and that's what they have voted. So we can't dwell on it. That's in the past. We got to keep focused and keep our heads straight for the next game.
So the coaches never bring that up?
No, not at all. Not at all. They haven't brought it up all year. So
okay,
I think that's where we get it from with our coaching staff. We don't even bring it up.
Was there any concern from you whatsoever after the Wyoming loss? Did you wonder to yourself, which way are we going to go here after only our second loss of the season?
No, not at all. I didn't wonder at all. I knew we were going to bounce back. We kind of got a veteran team. Winston played here last year. Skyler played. Josh, the fifth-year senior. I am. JJ, this is his third year playing. Fourth-year junior. So I knew we were going to bounce back. And when he came out to practice the next day, we came out hard and focused. It kind of felt weird because we haven't lost since November, but I knew we were going to bounce back.
Any disappointment about the 21 that you could have had there to leave your own mark? I mean, you tied it, which is great, obviously. Not many teams in college basketball win 20 straight, Xavier, as you know. But the idea that you could have set the record there whatsoever, was anybody bummed out specifically about that?
I don't think we were bummed out about the record. I just think we were bummed out about the loss and how we didn't play very well. But, it would have been nice if we had got the record, but we didn't. and we just tied for it.
And, there's no shame in that as well. Well, hey, have fun. Safe travels here to New Mexico coming up this week. Xavier, we always appreciate the time. Congrats on the W last night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. That's Xavier Thames, who's taking time out here on an off day as he's getting set to go and have lunch with Dad.